think this way. Every time I've done this, there is something new. It screws up the first time somehow. Doesn't work very well. And don't worry about it. Don't get discouraged, okay?
I'm not, I'm nothing.
No, you're easily discouraged. You always are.
I'm Catholic.
Oh, okay. How does that have anything to do with it?
That's being discouraged and being worried about everything all the time.
Okay, what were we talking about earlier that I told you to save? I'm not doing any introductions and stuff, at least right now. I don't know what's going on. But what was it you were getting to say something? It was really cool, and I wanted to talk about it, but then I paused it. You probably won't remember, right?
No, we have a lot of conversations like that recently.
No, it was just a few minutes ago, dude. It's like an hour ago.
Sex and heaven?
Dude, that's all you want to talk about.
No, and you said we had jobs and everything up there. We had tasks, and there's a whole thing. And I believe whatever you tell me. It took me a while, but yeah.
Well, like I said earlier, I take that with a grain of salt. I'm just hoping, and I don't think I'm stretching that much, but I don't know. But I think we will. I mean, why wouldn't we have sex in heaven? Why would he create it for here? The only thing you could say is that he created it for here so that we could procreate, and that's the only reason for it. But that's not the only reason for it, obviously. I mean, it goes way beyond that, and it's part of the relationship. And why would he say, hey, here's the greatest thing that you guys really love down here, but once you get up to heaven or once you get to new earth, we're getting rid of that and replacing it with something else?
Well, so what the Catholics think is that that's a waste of seed, that you're only supposed to do anything because of procreating. So,
yeah, I know.
Man, I can take this. You know what? Fuck it. Masturbating is a sin. Everything is a sin if you waste your seed. So
for
it's a
Catholic.
whole,
For a Catholic.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
I know. I'm just saying.
You've taught me, I must say, just in case this is being recorded, that, and I have a feeling it is, and I think you're tricking me, but whatever.
No, I am recording. I am recording. I just don't know what's going on. I don't really know what's going on.
When you and I started talking, I don't know, we've been friends for probably 30 something years, 40 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably 40 years at this point. I did not believe. I just didn't. But I like to hear your story because I thought it was a great story. And now we're to the point to where I believe, but I don't get it. But what I do, I mean, I believe, but I still understand why I didn't. Does that make sense? I believe. No. I understand why I didn't believe, because there's so many questions and there's so many things that just don't make sense, but you'll make them make sense. But I remember my thoughts before I believed.
I remember mostly whenever we were in Frisco, or I'm Frisco, sitting out in my garage, and I sent you, what was that book that I sent you? Letters to a Skeptic. Yeah. That was Gregory Boyd, and you really liked that. And we talked about Grace Awakening, which is my favorite book in the whole world.
That book, both of them changed my life.
I mean, that book helped you out more than anything, because from a Catholic standpoint, you hadn't really been taught that stuff, right?
Yeah, no, we don't. You don't see a lot of Bible studies in Catholicism. You know, you'll have morality meetings, or you'll have something. And I talked to a friend the other day that we're going to get back to this, but that his family and some other parents put me in a chair in their living room and told me how bad I was because I didn't believe the way they did. And I got kicked out of that school after 9 weeks. And it was just because of, fuck it, I drank before school. I mean, I knew better.
Yeah. Wait a minute, Catholics don't mind drinking.
No, you drink with a priest. But this was at a Christian school. And so you can't do that there. And I was in the wrong place at the wrong time and I knew what I was doing, and I just didn't think I was going to get caught, if we're being honest. but I got caught, and he called me out on it, and I talked to him a few days ago, or maybe a week or two ago, and maybe 3 weeks ago. But his parents put me in the middle of this room on this chair, Michael, and to tell me how bad I was. And I said, yeah, okay. Well, it seems like you guys are kind of bad too, just by judging me. But moving on. So to answer your question, which I forgot what it was at this point.
No, I don't have a question.
Probably,
Whenever you were sitting there and they were saying that stuff to you, that's whenever you weren't a believer, right? I mean,
I
you weren't a believer.
Yeah.
Well, describe what it is at that time.
Huh?
What did it mean to you? What did you not believe?
I didn't believe that someone could die, be put in a tomb, and then be risen from the dead. I didn't believe that the miracles that we've heard he did. I thought it was weird that Noah could, what about 2 mosquitoes? What about 2 flies? What about 2 whatever? Put everything on the thing. You know what I mean? A lot of the Old Testament to me blows my mind. The New Testament, you've got me on Matthew, and that one, Matthew and I get along, I think, all right. And Paul is probably closest to me, actually. But a lot of it just doesn't make any sense to me until you believe. I mean, there's a lot of hope, and it's all faith. And I think you're the one that told me this. Defending God's like defending a lion. You don't need any help.
Yeah.
So,
that was Charles Spurgeon, I think. That's who was quoting. Can't take credit for that. Yeah, I mean, the Old Testament is weird, but the thing is, here's the thing that you can think of separating yourself from the normal, because if you judge anything according to normal, then it is always weird. It's always going to be weird. Once it becomes normalized, it's not weird. I mean, like the craziest thing that I've ever seen in my life is whenever my kid was born, whenever Caitlin was born. Seriously, I watched the whole thing, and I mean, it was like the thing that I thought was, it's actually happening. There, people were right. There really was a bad side stomach. I mean, it was just, that thing was so bizarre. Like, you took an alien that came out from another planet, comes here, maybe they reproduce some other way, and you tell them this is how we reproduce, and they would go, that's just freaking weird. That's beyond the scope of our normal, therefore it can't be true. I mean, think of like dinosaurs, right? Dinosaurs are weird. They are, right?
Yeah. Well,
seriously, Tyrannosaurus Rex with his little bitty hands, and it's like,
I mean, it makes sense if you're him. But yeah, I've never met one, so I don't know if they're weird or not. But yeah.
Well, they're weird, but they're normalized in such a way that we say, okay, even though it's weird, we found bones. We know it's true. So the weird, the bizarre can suddenly become true based upon just the adjustment of our thinking. Now, let me tell you something that's really weird, because this is what I've been, if you were to ask me, hey, Michael, what have you been studying lately? I'm studying the weirdest passage in the entire Bible. I don't know if this is the way I should go with you right now, but I can't help it, because you talk about how the Old Testament is bizarre. But if you look in Genesis chapter 6, and if anybody actually has listened to this and we have got this through, they know exactly what I'm talking about, because Genesis chapter 6 is absolutely notorious for being the craziest chapter in the Bible. So much so that you just usually skip it in your own mind because it's so bizarre, right?
Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay. I'm just seeing if you're hanging with me. You look like you're about to fall. You look like you're about to fall asleep.
No, but I'm listening to you, and a lot of things you say are so over my head, I don't know. And so,
well, how's that over your head? I'm just telling you, there's something. All I'm telling you is that there's weird things in the world. That's all, right?
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen these like little fish? There's a fish out there that has like a face of a man. Have you ever seen that fish?
Seen that thing? Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you're like, that is bizarre, but we know it's true because we've seen it. The bizarre becomes true based upon the whatever you take in as evidence. It's not bizarre, can't be true. If I was to tell you, hey, I saw a ghost last night, right?
Yeah.
And you'd say, man, that's freaking weird. You know, we're one of those type of people who sees ghosts. But the moment you see one, it just has to work. Everything has to work into your daily understanding of how things work based upon the normality that they become. A car driving for a person that was living 400 years ago, they think this is freaking weird. This iPhone, I mean, they would look at this and say that's magic. Everything is, you know, until it's there, it is bizarre. But and that's the key thing, the bizarrity of it has no bearing on the
Did you say
truthfulness of it.
bizarrety?
Yeah, the bizarrety.
Is that a word?
I don't know. It is now, but the bizarrety of it has no bearing on the truthfulness of it. That's the thing you got to get in your mind. No matter what you're thinking about, bizarre is never an argument against something. It's called the argument ad absurdum. It's a fallacy. If I was to say to you, that's just too weird, I can't believe it, that's called an argument based upon the absurdity of what it is you're saying. The feelings that I have, the thing that I would say is, look at that. That's just too freaking weird. There's no way I can believe that because it's so weird. That is a bad argument. That does not
Here's
work.
what I think. Listen, you need to talk to me like I'm a third grader. You're saying bizarrety. Let's keep things in three syllables. Let's keep things in 3 syllables and talk to me like I'm a third grader. I was talking about heaven, and now somehow we got to bizarrety.
I know, but you're just talking about how things in the Old Testament are bizarre, and that's something that's kind of you take with you whenever you're reading the Bible or whenever you're studying anything. If it seems weird, then if it's outside our normal,
let me ask you this.
Then it's harder for us to accept.
Do you think that he burned a bush?
That's so tough to burn a bush. Seriously, if he created the world, you know how hard it would be to burn a bush.
But do you think he did?
Yeah, of course. Why not?
Do you think he got 2 flies on there and 2 mosquitoes just to bring him over on the ark?
I don't know. I don't know how it happened on the ark. I mean, maybe the flies just flew for a long time, or they were just on top of the ark. Why would he have to get them inside the ark? I mean, I don't know how that happened.
Actually, that's a pretty good point.
But the point is, the point is,
I get your point of bizarrety, but you get my point too, that the Old Testament, it's a turnoff. I mean, I really didn't like it.
But I'm getting ready to tell you, read you something that's probably like I said, the most bizarre. There's donkeys talking, there's snakes talking, there's Red Seas parting. None of them compares to what I'm getting ready to read, okay? And the reason why I say this, because this is what I've been studying lately, and it's just crazy. It really is. I mean, I like to be rational. I like to make
sense. You're talking me out of God right now.
I am. I'm trying to.
Yeah, we're doing a good job.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to hide in my back pocket all the things that are really hard and then bring them out after you've already accepted. And you say, hey, why didn't you tell me this at the beginning? You know, no good. Yeah. But listen, this is Genesis chapter 6. It says, so what you had so far is you've had the creation of Adam and Eve in the garden, which obviously we were created. I mean, it doesn't matter how weird it is, we were created. You can go, I mean, you go over to evolution side and say God used evolution, or let's say there's no God and he didn't use evolution. Evolution's freaking weird, right?
I think.
Okay,
so what you're going to say about that, but yeah, I would consider that weird.
No, I don't mind God using evolution if that's what he did. I'm saying that somehow people were created, and it's weird that we exist. I mean, this very thing that we sit here and exist and have all of our functions, it's weird. It's just normalized to such a degree that we accept it, right?
Oh, I see where you're going. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so you have Adam and Eve created, then you go, it just kind of gives a little bit of genealogies. You know, they get kicked out of the garden, and you get a few genealogies up until chapter 6. Now in chapter 6, think God in the Bible is not trying to give us an exhaustive history. He's just trying to give us some main points. And so from Adam and Eve being created all the way to Genesis chapter 6, it's just a long time, maybe a few thousand years. The whole earth is populated, right? And something's gone crazy on the earth that causes God to do something very drastic. We're not sure what it's happened yet, but something's gone crazy. Listen, you listening?
Yeah, no, I'm all in. I'm just trying to see where we're going with this, because I hadn't slept.
All right,
I've been up for.
Hold on, let me change I don't like this version. New American standard.
What's your new
Okay.
thing you got?
It says when mankind began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them. So now, when all this started, and it started, the whole earth started to be multiply. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves, whomever they chose. Now, you talk about a weird situation. I'm telling you, it doesn't get any weirder than this, Dad. There's not going to be something later on that you read. He's like, I wish you would have told me that beforehand, because that's weird. No, nothing's weirder than this. This is angels.
I'm writing this down. Genesis 6.
Genesis chapter 6.
Yeah, I'm not going to read the Old Testament anyway, so whatever. Moving on.
Someday you will.
I'm out.
Now, the angels. This is the reason why I know it's angels, because I can highlight this.
Voice gets like robotic or something.
Do what?
Sometimes your voice gets like robotic or whatever. You know what I mean?
It's not coming. It won't come through on this side though. But
okay. All right.
If you can't hear me, it doesn't help.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. The sons of God are angels, basically. If you think of angels, think angels are. God created us. We got down. Then He's created other beings. It's not like this is all He's done. There's lots of other stuff He has done. We just got our story. So you got the sons of God being what we call angels today, although it's not necessary to call them angels. It's just other beings, right?
Yeah.
Listen. This will help. There's not a species called angels. They as far as we know.
I like it when you put things that way, because that now you're talking to me like a third grader. And those are the things I like to hear. Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'll take.
We don't know if they propagate. And I said this about the sex in heaven, that this is one thing that's interesting. It says, okay, here's the sons of God. Here's the sons of God. We get more information about them later on, and it says they came down and took wives for themselves. So you got angels, or whatever we want to call them, right? The other species wanting to come and get married. It says they took wives for themselves. I thought that was pretty proper, though. At least they married them, instead of just going and sleeping with them. But they took wives for themselves. And the Nephilim, verse 4, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterwards. What are the Nephilim? Nephilim means giants. They were on the earth in those days. When God came into the daughters of men and they bore children to them, these were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. And then it goes on and says, basically, the rest of the story is God saw that the wickedness had gotten so bad, so He flooded the earth. So something became so incredibly crazy to where you have angels coming down at the very beginning of this. Then the population is just seeded with angels and men mixed together. You've got giants, you've got the men of renown, you've got crazy stuff going on. And then that's why the flood happened. And the flood happens and He starts being over Adam and Eve. So if you can get down and accept that, which it's taken me a long time, it really has. I've gone and tried to rationalize this in every single possible way I can for 20 years, saying that the sons of God weren't really angels. They were just part of the line of Seth rather than the line of
what?
Abel. This line of Seth, just another human race. Okay. Seth is one of Adam and Eve's children. Right. So they came from the line of Seth. The ungodly line of Seth married to the godly line of the women of Abel, their son.
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense though. I mean, that is not what it says.
Well, I don't like that word actually, but it goes with. I guess it goes with the story. I mean, I don't.
You don't like what word?
I don't know what to say. Yeah, it's a good story.
You don't like what word?
It made me believe anything more.
I'm not telling you to believe anything more. I'm just telling you this is the stuff. This is what, whenever you get into Christianity, here's a book that has been handed to you that has been for 2,000 years, 4,000 years with the Old Testament, a book that all Christians have believed. This is quoted by Christ, whom you do at least understand, respect, and believe that He rose from the dead. And you've got to either say, well, Christ wasn't right about this, or we've got something, we're in a box so small that we only let what we see as being normal be true.
Okay, going off that, how long was it between the time that Paul wrote his book and Peter wrote his?
I don't know why.
I'm curious.
Peter, they both wrote at the same time. Peter wrote in maybe 60.
How long was there was like a whole distance between some of these, and you and I've talked about that, and that blows my mind, and I don't understand. I can't wrap my head around that.
Well, Paul wrote 13 books, and he wrote them between 50 to 64, 65, and Peter wrote his 2 books in about 60, 64.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Matthew and Luke.
You went off the angels thing. Let me at least wrap that part of it up, okay?
Well, because
the only thing
the angel thing really turns me off, if I'm being honest.
I know that's what I'm trying to deal with. That is what I'm trying to deal with.
Yeah. All right.
That's what I'm trying to deal with, is just a philosophy that you bring to the table that turns you off.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I don't. It's hard not to believe in God. Not going to believe in angels. Come on, man.
Of course. I mean, angels, demons, Satan. But
So
why? What is irrational about this? If you exist, Ted, and he created you, what is so weird about saying he's created other things? If we exist and he created all people, and some of them rebelled, some of them didn't, or some of them rebelled, and we, Christ comes and saves us. What's wrong with saying he has other things going on?
Because I haven't seen that either.
So, unless you have seen it, then
who do I pray to? God or angels? I mean, if I'm praying to stuff that I don't know about, and I've never seen.
This is your Catholic stuff. I get it right now, right?
I don't know.
Well, Catholics have more. They pray to angels, they pray to saints, but
no,
they don't pray to
angels. We pray to Mary.
And to the saints.
Huh?
Well, you know the different ways in which the angels come and serve man in the Catholic faith, and whether it's the angel of protection, Michael the archangel comes down, you call for the Michael the archangel, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you brought up Michael. Yeah, those are called saints. There's a difference.
Michael's not a saint; he's an archangel.
Oh yeah. You would know that. Yeah. I like.
But what I'm saying here is that what is the wrong with saying that God has other things going on that is outside of the window of
why is that my problem? I mean, it seems like that's his issue. And do I have to believe, if I'm a Christian, do I have to believe in every single thing that he's got going on?
I mean, it's no, in a sense, no, of course not. I mean, the gospel is Jesus Christ, you're a sinner. Jesus Christ died and rose from the grave. And that whenever you trust in him for forgiveness, you have it. You have a relationship established with him, right?
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, if that's all I ever told you, and I never brought the Bible, never told you anything else, that would be it.
All right. Well, I'm in on that. It's just.
Well, but the thing is,
where were the angels when he was getting killed? Where are the angels when he was carrying the cross? Where are the angels when he was hanging on the cross? Where were they then?
Well, he said if I wanted to, I could call down 10,000 angels, a legion of angels, and they could rescue me. But he don't want to. Why would the angels come and save him whenever he says, "Hey, nobody save me because I've got to do this for man"?
All right.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah. Who's your favorite angel?
Well, Michael.
He's your second favorite.
Gabriel. That's the only two I know.
That's too easy.
Raphael. I mean, there's a few that's in the Book of Enoch that I could name. That I mean, those are
the Book of Enoch.
The Book of Enoch. That's a different book. That's not in the Bible. It's a good book, though.
That sounds good.
Catholics do not accept the Book of Enoch either, but they respect it.
If you want to talk about Catholics, we're a different breed. It's just been a tradition. And you and I have talked about this over the years, how we don't know the Bible. And I didn't know the Bible until you started studying it. I remember going over to your house one day and you were going through the whole
Timeline?
of Jesus. Do you remember this? You had a map out.
Was it the timeline? Yeah.
Yeah. You had a timeline and a map. And I'm like,
that was a good book. I need to find that. That was an exciting book.
Yeah, but you had it like laid out, bro. I mean, this thing was like, you were serious. Like we were wanting to go play basketball and you said no. And you never said no to basketball. You're the worst basketball player on this planet, by the way.
Dude, I am not. That's crazy.
Yeah, you're terrible.
Okay, terrible. I'm just going to let that one go.
But I can't. I mean, clearly I still think about
Dude,
it.
That's saying that's crazy.
So bad at basketball, I still think about it.
Saying that I'm bad at basketball is it's more bizarre than the Angels coming and having sex with women. That's how outside of my experience.
I don't know.
That's how outside of my experience that is. But go ahead.
If I had a video of you shooting a ball, how do you shoot it, Michael?
Dude, how do you remember? How do you remember how I shoot it? I've gotten better.
So bad that I couldn't take it anymore. That's why I guarded you. I wanted to guard you just to block you. I can't take it. Right. Someone's going to tell you. I mean, I'm just telling you.
All right. I'm better. I'm a better shooter. I do admit that I did not have a good
playing basketball. So I'd rather talk about Angels than your basketball shot.
All right, good. I would too.
So do Angels have wings?
No. I mean, maybe you could remember angels aren't a species. And so you could have some angels that have wings, just like the seraphim. The seraphim are, it says, the seraphim are the ones that are flying around God. And it just said, whenever Isaiah said, I saw God lifted up on his throne, and there were seraphim that were flying around him with wings on their feet, 2 wings on their feet, 2 wings on their eyes, 2 wings to cover their eyes, and I think there were 6 wings altogether. But I wouldn't say the angels have wings, because they don't present. They look probably a lot like men, because they sometimes come down. And the book of Hebrews says that some people have entertained angels unaware that they entertain them, because there may have been an angel in your life, you entertain them unaware.
Halos?
What's that?
Do they have halos?
No.
You believe in halos?
What is a halo? Just a circle around your head?
Yeah, I mean,
what would you need a halo for?
I don't know. I've just heard about it, seen it.
They're just symbolic representations of holiness that is put in art sometimes, but there's nothing true about them.
But there's true about angels, but there's no halos.
Okay, if you want to make an argument for halos, I'll give you the room. But I have no clue where you would find halos except for in traditional art pieces.
Well, it's called faith, Michael. I don't
traditional, believe but traditional art pieces aren't.
This is all the same thing.
No, it's not, because traditional art pieces are not a source of authority. The source of authority that I do make an argument for is the Bible. Why? Because Jesus believed the Bible. So whenever he looks back, and he's referring to Genesis chapter 6 and the flood, and he says, whenever he comes again, it will be like the days of Noah. So things will be very similar. I look at Jesus and I say, well, that guy rose from the dead. And so if he rose from the dead and he is who he said he was, then whatever he says was probably better than what I say. And he doesn't look to artwork, he looks to the Bible, he looks to the Old Testament.
But there's nothing in the Bible that says halo.
No, I'll search. I mean, I've never heard of halo in the Bible. Halo, nothing.
No shit.
Well, at least we got that out of the way.
Which one? The halo or no?
Angels don't have wings and they don't have halos, so
well,
that's good.
I like the ones that I thought about, I guess.
I don't know.
Folklore. I mean, you talking about angels is kind of like me convincing my kids about the Tooth Fairy Santa Claus. I haven't seen one, but I act like there are one. There is one, and that's a hard one for me to swallow.
But the problem is, again, the problem is your source of authority. If Jesus believed the Old Testament that he had, and Jesus rose from the dead, then I look to Jesus and I say, I want to believe the same thing that he believed. he didn't have a tooth fairy. He didn't have a Santa Claus. If he did, then I would believe it, because here we got God on earth telling us how things are. Get it?
Got it.
It's authority. Bizarrity, just because you think things are weird, is not a source of authority. That is simply an emotional reaction to something that has no bearing on truth. You see what I'm saying?
It's got to start from somewhere.
Well, it does. It starts with
who's the authority to make it start?
Well, there's 5 different types of authority. Let me tell you one that you know of for sure, and that's just rationale. If I was to tell you I am on this computer and I'm searching the Bible, but at the same time, I'm not on this computer and I'm not searching the Bible, you would say that doesn't work. And I'd say, why doesn't it work? And how do you know that doesn't work? You'd say, because it contradicts each other. I'd say, why is non-contradiction a source of authority? You say, because it's rationality. Rationality is a source of authority that we start with, but it's not irrational to say that angels exist.
I disagree completely.
Okay, go.
I think an idea beats rationality. There's a reason that we think of something to even make it rational. So it starts with an idea. Now you brought up authority. I got a problem with authority, as you know. I don't believe in rationale. I believe in an idea, and I believe in the process. The rationale, huge problem with, and I think you're wrong.
But you do believe things.
You will not convince me any other way.
Okay, don't use the word authority. Authority wasn't a good word to use. Okay,
I didn't start it. You're the authority on this. You're the rationale on this.
Let's just say source of truth. Where do you go to when you're trying to figure stuff out? You either go to what mommy and daddy taught you, right? That's tradition, and you have an emotional bent towards that normally. Now, not you particularly. You have an emotional bent against it, but whatever you learn growing up, you always want to be true because it's the most comfortable, and so you end up trying to defend that.
That's interesting, and I'm going to interrupt you there, and this is going to go completely down a rabbit hole, but I want you to know this. I was with our buddy Kevin this last week and a half, and the things that I thought that I knew, I'm drinking Dr. Pepper. The things I thought I knew about Black history.
Wait. What are you drinking?
Dr. Pepper.
Okay, go ahead.
Is that okay?
I'm just kidding. You think I cared what you were drinking?
No, you almost encouraged it. So, well, you did. But anyway, so I'm with Kevin, and I learned so much more about
Kevin Watson.
I wasn't going to throw out his last name because I think this is being recorded, and there's probably getting these.
Send it to Kevin. Shout out to Kevin Watson.
I will. But my point is, there's a. I didn't know what I didn't know about Black history.
Yeah.
And I'm, a white privileged or was fella. And I feel like I got duped. And some of the conversation you're having right now with me, or we're talking about, I feel like I've been duped on some other things. Like I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And Kevin and his buddy, I can't remember his name, Michaela or something like that. Malachi had a lot of good. I had some questions that could have taken that as racist. It could have been whatever, but I didn't have any malicious things toward the questions I was asking. And I think where you're going with some of this is like, I feel like in a lot of the things in the Bible and being Catholic, I've been duped. You've
been duped about what's in the Bible, or duped about
a lot of things. I mean, I think we've just been duped. We were talking about authority, and we're talking about parents. My parents listen to their parents, and so they bring it on to their kids, right? And I was a kid once, a long time ago, but my dad only knew what his dad told him or his mom, and then their parents only knew what they heard, right? The thing about the Bible is it's been pretty steady. But if you listen to your parents, like you said, as far as authority goes and this rationale, it's I think we've been duped on a lot of things,
Yeah. Yeah,
That's where I was going with all that. That was a long way to say.
No, I mean, that's actually really good. And my I've taught my one of my classes I teach. I don't know if you ever went through any of my actual courses or I sent them to you, but the introduction to theology one, this is all we talk about during introduction. I won't even get to studying the Bible until we get these things covered. You know, like whenever you read a book and you got the prologue, that's the one that you skip, and then you just go to chapter 1 if you're reading a book, right?
Yeah, almost.
The prologue. We hate the prologue. Everybody tries to skip it.
I never read. But he didn't. Yeah, yeah.
The prologue to thinking about God is exactly what we're talking about right now. Like if I was talking to, let's say I'm talking to a priest, right? Maybe we'll get a priest on here someday and you can ask him some questions.
Yeah.
But let's say I'm talking to a priest. I would say, listen, there's no use whatsoever between you and I arguing about anything until we agree on the source of authority. If you come and you say, if I come to you and I say, well, let's here's the Bible, and I believe whatever's in the Bible and everything else is wrong, then you would say, then the other person would have to agree. Otherwise, they're saying, well, I don't believe the Bible, so it doesn't matter. You can interpret the Bible all day long, but I don't even believe the Bible. So set the Bible aside, right? Not saying the
you can't sell to ignorance or poverty, and that's what you're talking about right there.
Yeah, and it's not so much. It's just like we're saying, how do humans come to know things? This is called in philosophy. It's called epistemology. How do you know what to know? Epistemology.
Yeah, I watched a video on you talking about that today, actually, and
Really?
that's a pretty cool topic, but it's a hard word. I mean, it's too
No,
much.
I love epistemology. I love epistemology.
We talk about syllables. If I can't spell it, I'm not saying. You know.
But the thing is, just like all this stuff we're talking about in the Bible, Genesis chapter 6, angels, whatever else, you've got to come to some type of conclusion of what is, again, I'm not going to use the word authority because I think that brings up some wrong connotations, but what is the source?
I mean, I think that those two words together, it's all bad.
Rationalization
and authority. You can't put those two together. Period. You just can't.
Okay, let's put it this way. Let me tell you. You asked me, Michael, where do you go to whenever you're telling me all this stuff? What are your sources?
The Bible.
Yeah. What'd you say?
The Bible.
I thought you said Michael. Yeah, Bible would be one, right? Yeah. But that would only be one. That's not the only source. I would say, like I said before, rationality. If you were coming to me and said, "Hey, I got this idea about God, and I think it's true. I think He's both evil and at the same time, in the same way, not evil," I'd say, no, that doesn't make any sense because they contradict each other. Because I believe in what's called the law of non-contradiction. I believe that something can't be true and the same thing not be true at the same time, the same relationship. That's rationality, right? Like if I were to tell you, hey, Tad, I'm coming to visit you. And then you sat down and you say, man, Michael's coming to visit me, but he's also not coming to visit me at the same time. So I don't really know what to do here. You would say, if he's coming to visit me, then by virtue of him coming to visit me, he's actually going to be here. That's rationality. You use it every day. You can't get away from it. Anybody who doesn't use that is completely irrational. You go into a stop sign, you don't say, hey, look, here's a stop sign. I'm going to both go through it and not go through it. And it means the same thing, so it doesn't matter. You have rationality. You can't function without rationality, right?
Okay. Moving on.
No, that's so important.
I mean, I can still fight with it, but yeah, I still have opinions on that, actually.
Okay, tell me what's the matter with here's what it's called, the law of non-contradiction. The law of non-contradiction says A cannot be A at the same time as being non-A in the same time as relationship. Anything you say can't be both true and false at the same time in the same relationship. If it's true and false, those are different times in different relationships. Like Tad's nice, but he's also mean. Well, that doesn't contradict each other because you are nice sometimes, not very often, and you are also mean a whole lot.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
So, okay, let's go back to the stop sign scenario.
Okay.
Someone taught me that red means stop and green means go.
Yeah.
I got a problem with that. What if I want green to be go and red means stop? Is that authority, rationale, or is that
that's not rationale? That's tradition.
Okay, so now we're going back to the Catholic thing.
Yeah.
Tradition. and now we go back to God and angels, right?
Yeah.
So we can circle this all around.
No,
But
of course it
I don't like,
is. It's
I
it's
don't like
it's
the
a
word authority.
spiral.
You're not
Everything
saying the
plays.
word rational. Just so you know.
Everything works together.
But you just said it didn't.
No, it does work together. You have to. Okay, let's say rationality, right? You have that. We use it every day, whether anybody believes it or not. If you're not using rationality at all, you're probably in a straitjacket. Okay.
Probably.
Get it?
Another word I can't stand. But yeah, you're probably
Oh,
right.
okay, so you're in a straitjacket if you're not using rationality. Most people we trust every day. We got what's called the social contract with everybody else. I believe that if I come to a stop sign and then it turns red, or the stoplight turns green, I'm going to go ahead and go through it because I got a social contract going on with everybody else out there. I didn't go and ask everybody, hey, will you make sure what?
That's good. Social contract. That's a good one. I hadn't thought of
Okay.
it that way. Yeah,
But
no.
that's a rational thing. It's rational for me to believe in that social contract. Why? Not because it makes sense. I was sitting there and I never got on the road and never met anybody in my life. But I thought, I bet you if I get out on the road and start driving, other people will stop at red light and go, no, that's tradition. So you got two things playing here. There are two things playing here. You got your rationality and you got tradition.
You're not getting off this
Tradition,
rationality thing.
huh?
You're not getting off this rationality thing.
No, rationality is so important. I mean, it's the first that you use before you come to anything else. And that's why I'm saying, that's why I tried to say at the very beginning, before anything else, Tad, and you're thinking about things, rationality does not mean not absurd. Just because it's weird doesn't mean it's irrational. Angels existing is not irrational in any sense. It may be wrong, it may be right, but it's not irrational. It's too many times we think of truth and we think what sounds stupid can't be true, or whatever embarrasses me to say I believe, I'm not going to believe that. Like if I came to you and I said, Tad, I believe in UFOs, right? Oh, everybody does believe in UFOs now. But used to be UFOs was something
Yeah,
you didn't believe, right?
The Earth's flat.
But all of a sudden, everybody's saying, the Pentagon's saying there's UFOs. Well, I guess it's not crazy anymore. Beforehand, it was irrational. No, it was irrational. It was always something
No,
that
it
could.
gets back. I think you're getting mixed up with authority and rationale, because
Rationale is an authority, is what I'm saying.
that's pretty good, actually. Good comeback. Yeah, I can't beat that one.
Okay, so listen, do you agree that you start with your rationale? Everybody has to use that.
No, you start with an idea. I'm never going to agree with you on the rationale.
A rational idea or irrational idea?
The first idea.
Why would it be first? That's a rational statement right there.
That's the first time you can have one.
Well, I know, but you're acting rationally like it's true. That's not true.
No, you're right. Like there can't be an irrational if you don't have a rational. I get where you're going. I know where you're going, Michael. I've known you for
okay. I'm just talking about formal rationality. That is something we bring to the table every single time. And angels having sex with women is not irrational. It's just outside of our purview.
What are
outside
angels?
of our
What's angels' use? What do we need them for?
The ministering spirits come to help us. That's one the Hebrew says. We don't have to have them. God doesn't have to have anything. God uses all kinds of things that he doesn't have to. I mean, he uses us. He put Adam and Eve in the garden, said, hey, tend to the garden for me. And they're like, they didn't say, hey, you can't do it yourself. I mean, why do you need us to tend to the garden? No,
when you and I first started talking about when you were I don't know of a better way to say this, but selling me on Christianity, which I'm a believer now. I've told you that.
Yeah.
The Adam and Eve.
At least in Christ, the Christ story, right?
Oh, clearly. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe. No, I get it now.
I'm just trying to say that bit. You're not sold on the whole Bible, though, right?
Huh?
You're not sold on the whole Bible, is what you're saying. Just the Christ story.
Well, because but
okay.
I believe in what I believe, and I'm quite convinced he died, he rose, and I get to go up there and I get to eventually meet him. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Selfish thing. It's just like I truly believe that, and like I said at the beginning, I remember how I thought when I didn't. And you made me lose my train of thought. So thanks for that.
No. Tell me how you thought whenever you didn't. What was it a feeling? Was it
It goes back to the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus.
so emotionally you didn't think it could be true?
And I scientifically, mentally.
Okay, scientifically, whoa. Scientifically is rationale. That's all that is.
God, you're getting stuck on this fucking word, man.
No. I'm just saying. You were saying that you didn't think it was rational, and I'm saying, well, wait a minute, that's not true. That's just not with it. I mean, now are UFOs scientific? Yeah, they are. Why? Just because somebody said, oh, they were always rational. It just we didn't experience them, and so therefore we didn't have to fit them in. Dinosaurs are always rational, and we fit them in because we have the bones. Things are always rational except for contradictions. So you have that, but your experience, you say your experience had something to do with you not believing.
And I'll tell you why, man, because it feels like the deeper I believed in him, both of them, right?
Who's both of them?
Jesus and God, because I think there's two, and that's Catholic. Yeah,
there's actually three. There's actually three. It's a Trinity, but that's okay. We'll talk about that some other time.
Yeah. Here we go. But I feel like the more I give in with my heart and soul and mind and spirit, or whatever you're going to rationale, the worst shit happens, man. When I just believe in myself, fucking things were great.
what do you
believing in him? And everything goes to shit,
Michael. But hey, I did tell you that at the very beginning, didn't I?
Not in that way.
I did. I said, listen, if you want things to go better, you probably shouldn't follow him. And you said, I'm not leaving him. I don't care.
He can't get rid of me. And
there you go.
He's trying like a motherfucker. But I talk to him like he's my dad. And I miss my dad. And I'm wishing God acted like my dad,
Yeah.
But he's I miss your dad, I miss everybody's dad.
Somebody's got to miss my dad.
I miss him. I
know.
Yeah. But I feel like the more I believe, the less I get. So I feel like I'm doing it wrong. I'm praying sideways or something. I don't know.
I mean, you may be starting with the idea that whenever you do believe, certain things happen in a certain order, but I mean, just believe in the right thing, Tad. Let's say we're right. Okay. Let's just on theory, we're right. Jesus Christ did die. He rose from the grave. He's going to come get us one day. We're going to be on the new earth with him. Let's say that's right. Give me that.
This new earth thing I need to know more about.
It's just heaven. We'll talk about it some other time, but it's just heaven. It is a good one to talk about.
Rhonda, my girlfriend, liked that term. And she's a big believer. We talk about God quite often. And her mom and her dad, she's brought up Protestant or something, something that I wasn't. But he's and so the new earth thing really kind of struck her as that's a good way to put that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not planned.
Is that your term? Did you come up with that?
No. It's in the Bible.
What?
Yeah.
God, I gotta read this thing.
You gotta read this Bible.
How do you spell it? Is it in the B section?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me finish this because we've gone about an hour, and I don't know if people listen that much longer. Let me finish this like overview, and then we'll get back to it later on next time. But I want to hear what you have to say about it. Okay.
Yep.
Maybe you get where I'm going with this. Maybe I don't know.
Just finish.
There's five places that I go to for authority, right? Whenever you say, Michael, how do you know? I'll think through 5 different avenues to get there. Number 1, the Bible. You already said that. You knew that, right? I say, well, it's in the Bible. If it's in the Bible, I believe it. Number 2, rationality. If it doesn't make sense, I don't care whether it's in the Bible or not. If it is irrational, then it can't be true by definition. If the Bible says God loves me and he doesn't love me at the same time, the same relationship, I say you're misinterpreting the Bible, or the Bible's not true, right? Get it? Okay. Okay. The Bible, rationality, tradition, I do have a tradition. I mean, tradition is a source of truth. It is a place I go to. I don't want to be the only one who says, "Hey, Dad, I got a new idea," just like that Sex in Heaven thing. But I say, I've got a new idea. Nobody else in the history of time has ever had the same idea as me. Well, I mean, you come up with something like that, and I'm probably not going to believe you, right?
I thought I came up with the word idiotic when I was 10 years old. I'm like, I just made up the word idiotic. I'm a genius. Well, it turns out that word's been around for a while.
But you get what I'm saying about tradition.
Yeah.
Tradition is not all bad. You don't want to be brand new. You don't want to be the Joseph Smith who starts Mormonism, right?
Yeah. Well,
and say nobody ever believed this way.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. So that's Bible, reason, tradition. Then two other ones that are less authoritative, but you can't.
What reason was rationale? But it's funny you said reason instead of that because rationale is a bad word. You said reason.
Then there's two more. Experience and emotions. Those things, whether I like it or not, play a part. Now, if I say I saw a UFO, I don't know why I'm sticking with UFOs because they've been in the news so much, but if I say I saw a UFO, reason is about the most impossible thing or experience is about the most impossible thing to talk anybody out of. If you said, Michael, I saw a ghost, and I said, Tad, there's no such thing as ghosts. The Bible doesn't say there's ghosts, or I went through this whole deal. You'd say, I don't care. I saw one, right? So experience plays a big part. And then emotions. If you don't like it, if it doesn't sit with you well emotionally, then you're less likely to believe it. And sometimes it contributes in a positive way. And that's basically, if you say, Michael, how do you know everything you know? I say, well, the most important thing is the Bible and reason and tradition. And then these two other ones, emotions, experience, both play a part. So it's not just the Bible. It's not like I'm coming to you, Tad, just believe the Bible. Don't think about anything else. That's not what God does. God gave you tradition. He gave you emotions. He gave you experience. He gave you rationality or reason. And he wants you to apply every single one of those to whatever is being taught. So Genesis chapter 6, the only thing that is the problem with this is experience. Nothing else really. I mean, I've never experienced an angel. I've never seen an angel have sex. I've never had sex with an angel, except for my wife. You know, I knew
you're going there. Yeah, I saw that coming. Yeah.
But
we've all had an experience with the same angel.
Shut up, dude. That's not true, by the way, people. That is not true. I'm not laughing because it's true. I'm laughing because he's crazy.
It's funny. Yeah.
But anyway, so
you love that angel.
What was I talking about?
Snort? Did you snort?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Listen. Back to original. Just because something is bizarre doesn't make it not true. There's other factors that come into play, right? So if I say angels came and slept with women and they had children, you've got to consider this. If you're really searching for truth, if you're searching to confirm your prejudice, then stay away from this, right? Because you can do that on your own. If you're searching to make it feel like, where you're comfortable, don't get into this. There's not a whole lot of comfortable things that we're going to talk. There are a lot of comfortable things, but I'm saying there's a lot of not comfortable things we're going to talk about. Get it?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking. Who else would I be talking to?
No, I don't know who you're talking to. Yeah, I want this to be uncomfortable because that's what makes me comfortable. It's being uncomfortable.
All right. Well, I think this got recorded, and we'll pick it up next time, I guess. What do you think it went okay?
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
We loosened up, right?
Yeah, I felt like it was just you and I talking.
Yeah. Good.
You have
all right. Well, I'm going off the broadcast, and I'll call you in just a little bit. Okay.
All right.